Well, you don't have to look very far right now to find someone with a cough or a runny nose. The cold and flu season is upon us, and to resist those bugs, we need to stay healthy. So today we're going to get some advice on how to do that and more. Josee Bosgra is a Natural Nutrition Clinical Practitioner at Roots and Fruits Wellness in Lethbridge, and she joins us here in studio. Josee, nice to have you here again.
Thanks so much for having me.
So we hear a lot about immune system, boosting our immune system. Is that where we start with this? Is that kind of a good place to begin?
I mean, at this time of year, definitely some immune boosting practices or supplements can be helpful, but I think the most effective way to view it is all year round and not just entering into the season with boosting our immune system rather than caring for your immune system all year round by having good lifestyle habits all the time that keep you healthy so that when you're entering into this season, it's less about just these little boosts that really won't solve the root problem of having a weaker immune system.
So what are some of those ongoing things that we can do year round?
Yeah, diet is number one, for sure. What we eat directly forms our immune system. Our immune system is largely actually our gut. 70% of our immune system is found in the gut, and it has to do with bacteria, the microbiome. And so when we have beneficial bacteria that are kind of outnumbering the bad guys, then our immune system will be able to fight things more effectively, more efficiently. And so diet is the number one thing there. Basic ones that sound like, I'm repeating myself and everyone's like, my mom told me that all the time, but sleep and water.
Wow,
kind of getting back to the basics of health. It doesn't have to be complicated. So eat well, sleep lots, and drink lots of water.
Are there specific foods, though, that can help the gut, help with some of that gut microbiome?
Absolutely. And so fermented foods are going to be kind of your natural probiotic, adding that beneficial bacteria year round. Again, it's not going to work if someone told you, sauerkraut's going to boost your microbiome if you do it once when you're sick. You got to be doing that as a daily thing. So fermented foods every day. Bone broth's a great one to help repair any small micro tears in your gut that can weaken your immune system. And then the other thing would just be reducing the processed foods, added sugars, things like artificial preservatives and things like that. Again, this is like a all the time thing. So if you're 90% of the time you're eating real whole foods that are really good for you and your gut and not destroying and breaking down your gut bacteria, then you can get away with, once in a while having a treat. But when that's 90% of your diet, then it's not a good recipe for health.
You mentioned sleep and water. How much water? Because I see a lot of, I think it's maybe more young people, not so much me.
Yeah.
They're constantly carrying their jugs of water around. So that's a good thing, I'm assuming. But how much water is enough?
Totally. I would say kind of the ballpark is about half your body weight in ounces. So you can convert that from pounds to ounces. I just use Google when I'm working with clients, doing the calculations there. But I would say that's a good place to start, but that's kind of a baseline. If someone's more active and they're sweating every day, then you'd want to increase that by a few cups. The other thing would be making sure that you're getting adequate electrolyte balance. So again, if someone's, let's say, an athlete, or if someone's breastfeeding, or if someone's extra stressed, then you might need more electrolyte. So adding that to your water can be beneficial for hydration as well.
Let's talk about supplementation, because I know the people that do it. I'm a big believer in it, having seen the health benefits of supplementation. What are some of the supplements we could be adding in to be more immune at this time of year?
So back to the gut, I'm a big fan of probiotics, not just, a probiotic from the shelf at Walmart, but there's ones that have to be refrigerated that are typically of better quality, and the bacteria in the capsules, or you can get powders or whatever, will actually help repopulate your gut microflora, not just something that will pass through and then you'll, excrete it in the toilet. So probiotics would be great. Vitamin C is a great one. We all kind of know that. But you can take quite a lot of it as immune support. Vitamin D, especially in the winter for us, we're not often getting as much sunshine on our skin, and so supplementing that orally. And then when you are actually sick, there's lots of great alternatives to some of the over-the-counter medicines that might not have any side effects, so like oil of oregano and colloidal silver and that kind of thing.
Right. There's people that are big believers in echinacea. Is that on the list?
Totally. Yeah, there's lots of herbal remedies like that you could take either ongoing preventatively or when you're actually sick.
Right.
Yeah.
There are people that when they get sick, that get sick because they want to get over it quickly, they do the quick fixes. Is that something we should avoid, or are there some that work?
I think there's nothing wrong with some of those natural quick fixes when you are sick, because we're talking about the immune system over the year, but even if you're caring for your immune system perfectly, you might still get sick. And so utilizing those things, I think, are more beneficial and less harmful than some of the alternatives that you could get at the drugstore, for sure.
You talked about gut health. Let's talk a little bit more about that. How do you know if your gut is not healthy?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's hard to know until they experience feeling well. A lot of people are just used to feeling bloated. Every time I eat, I'm bloated. Well, it's actually not normal, and we've kind of just gotten used to that. So any bloating, pain, excess gas, obviously troubles in the bathroom, but then there's some not so gut-focused symptoms that might actually be a sign that your gut's struggling, like mental health, your mood, your energy, brain fog, your skin, your hair growth. There's so many other ways that your gut might be communicating through different ways in your body.
Right. So could stress affect gut health?
100%.
Those outside factors?
Yeah, 100%. So when we're stressed, our nervous system is kind of in fight or flight, right? So all the blood is rushing to our limbs to get away, which is really helpful if you're being chased by a bear, but not so helpful if you have a stressful job day in, day out, and the blood isn't actually flowing here where your digestion happens. And so that's 100% connected. And I've actually seen it time and time again with clients that we adjust their diet, we adjust supplements, we're doing all the right things on paper, but they haven't addressed the stress in their life, and you can't get all the way better when it comes to gut health until that's kind of resolved or mediated a little bit.
Well, and like everything, there's no quick fix, right? It takes time to, if you've been living a certain way for a certain number of years, it's going to take time to
for sure
to turn that around.
Yeah.
We talked about sleep. You mentioned sleep and water, so let's talk about sleep a little bit. There are people that love a lot, love their sleep. Is there an optimum range, or does that depend on age? What are we looking at with sleep?
Yeah, I think everyone's a little bit different. Like, people have different sleep needs, but I think in general, we could all probably focus on even our sleep hygiene a little bit more. So what are we doing before bed? Are we on our phone in bed? Because even if you get 8 hours after scrolling for an hour in bed, the quality of your sleep is not going to be as awesome. And so you might wake up feeling like, I didn't sleep at all, even though you slept 8 hours. So that's one thing. And then secondly, like, a lot of your digestion and things in your body, even your liver detoxification, happens when you're sleeping. And so if you're sleeping enough according to the 8-hour rule, but you're not actually, maybe you're going to bed at 1 a.m., let's say, there's some things that probably won't happen in terms of those detoxification things because you went to bed too late. And so, yeah, just try to sleep, listen to our bodies. I think we've kind of become a little disconnected from our bodies, and we've learned to push past our sleep cues. But really getting back to those basics. What is my body saying? Oh, I'm tired. I'm not actually hungry. How about I go to bed instead of have a bag of chips?
Right. Well, our bodies do have kind of they get used to a pattern. They get used to a rhythm, and if you can get into that rhythm, especially with sleep patterns or preparing to sleep, that can be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think sleep, again, those foundations of health, you could spend hundreds of dollars on testing your microbiome and all these different supplements, but before doing that, do the things that are free to you. Sleep, right? Water, these things, and then go from there.
I understand you have a tired moms group chat. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, something that I just started recently. I had my second little boy, and I'm like, oh, even though I live this lifestyle and I help people all the time with this, I'm like, I'm finding it hard in this season to not be just reaching for convenient foods or whatever. So it was a way to kind of keep helping people, but also keeping myself accountable and recognizing that a lot of moms do find it challenging to care for themselves, and we tend to put ourselves last. So just a way to keep each other accountable and I send recipes, so kind of some inspiration for meal stuff.
I'd be interested in your wellness journey. How did you go from working in our industry? You used to be here at Bridge City News, used to work here, but what was your transition into wellness? What was that about?
Yeah, well, even when I was in journalism, I mean, I brought my kale salad and I'd spend my lunch breaks running, and I was that person. I think a lot of it had to do with the stress, right? So even prior to being in journalism, I had so many gut issues that, like similar to what I said, I spent the money on the tests and the supplements and the dietary changes, but until I actually addressed, I want to be doing what I'm made to do, which is a really hard thing for people to do when they're in a career or maybe a relationship, or there's lots of different ways stress can be kind of holding you back in your life. But once, you know, I made certain changes in my life, I felt like I healed. My gut healed, my mental health, things improved. And so I just wanted to get into that, to give back that knowledge, because a lot of it now is common sense to me. You know, 10 years of a journey of learning about diet, learning about nutrition and supplements and herbs and all those things. But yeah, I'm constantly on it. I haven't arrived. I think we're all always on a journey towards wholeness and wellness, and I just happen to be very passionate about it.
We just came through our Canadian Thanksgiving. Of course, Americans having their Thanksgiving coming up. Christmas around the corner. There can be a lot of unhealthy eating, or the amounts that we're eating. What are some recommendations maybe as we head into the indulging season? Yeah,
well, it's interesting. Some people would call cold and flu season sugar poisoning season, which is a quite extreme way to say it, but it's an interesting point to say, oh yeah, it's true. It goes Halloween, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas, and then Valentine's Day and Easter. And so really my biggest advice is to change the ingredients you're using when you're baking and making treats, because then you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get to enjoy the pumpkin pie or the chocolate cake, but if you're making it with almond flour and local eggs and, you know, like coconut sugar or maple syrup, it's not that you should still eat that for breakfast. It's still cake, but the ingredients aren't going to be as inflammatory to your body, and so you can enjoy it kind of without that guilt, but also those symptoms that will you'll enjoy your holiday season more if you feel healthy.
Yeah, we haven't even dove into inflammation, but that's part of it, right? So part of what our body is doing is responding to inflammatory things happening within, right? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, with the diet, with stress, even just like having poor, like negative self-talk can cause inflammation in your body. And so, yeah, that's definitely a big root of all this.
I think we covered most of what I wanted to talk about. Anything you wanted to touch on before we go?
No, that's great. I hope that people hopefully got some tools to stay healthy through this season.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about Roots and Fruits?
rootsandfruitswellness.com. I'm on Instagram, Roots and Fruits Wellness, and Josee.Bosgra as well.
Josee Bosgra is a natural nutrition clinical practitioner at Roots and Fruits Wellness in Lethbridge.